What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Good Shit Podcast. I'm Oscar Cifuentes.
I'm DJ DSP and Sutherland.
And I'm not sleeping at this very moment, and I'm Brasco Vaxenofontos.
Oh, God.
And I'm Noah Griffith, the mind, the man, the myth, and the legend, most importantly.
There you go.
And we got a very special guest, everybody. For one night only, George Michael has returned to Good Shit Talk Podcast.
What a start.
Welcome, George Michael.
I'm never gonna dance again. Wrestling figures got no skill.
That sounds
has got no creative.
I'll be honest. I missed last week, and I regret it because now I'm fully awake. I don't have a headache, and I can bash Anthony Ferrara for the rest of the night.
There you go.
Do you regret it?
The first thing I wanted to say, we are back as a full team today. You know, Zeus finally woke up from his 5,000-year nap. So.
More like 10,000 years.
10,000.
He's back, and he's better than ever.
Well, speaking of better than ever, we had an insane pay-per-view this past weekend. If you didn't catch Double or Nothing from AEW this past Saturday, what a show. And Dave Meltzer said it best. This was the show we needed during this time. It was just insane, beginning to end. There were some lagging, but you know what? Overall, I love this show. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
I mean, the beginning, it started off slow. It was nothing too exciting, but as like the third and fourth match came along, then that's when they gave their 5-star quality shows like they usually do on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
The whole show was just phenomenal. I mean, everything. This is a show that you literally take right off of what you see on TV, and they just made it so much better. Everything that was on the match was somewhat built off of what the what the go home show was for the pay-per-view. And that's what we need. You need something to build off of it. It needs to be a big payoff. And then even whatever follows is just as good. And I loved it.
Absolutely.
I'm in the camp with Skis because I also thought it started off kind of slow with the first 2 matches, but then once MJF and Jungle Boy got in the ring, it was game over. It was on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about those first 2 matches. First, we had the buy-in. Best Friends defeated Private Party. Well, this was kind of a no-brainer, but, you know, the match itself, I got to admit, it was a bit sloppy. Private Party was a bit off their game that night. I don't know if it was just the pressure or the fact that they haven't been on TV for the past few weeks, but, you know, they had some spots where they kind of, like, lagged a little bit. But the one thing I will say, I love this one spot they did. They did a shout-out or, you know, paying homage to Crime Time, performing the G9. I believe it was on Chuck, was it? Or was it on Trent?
It was on Chuck.
Chuck,
yeah. Right? But,
yeah, I think it was Chuck.
The Crime Time finisher, the G9, that was a little heartwarming for me, you know? It was just a shout-out to Shad Gaspard, who had just passed this last week, so it was a good.
So I want to give
that opening was phenomenal.
I also want to give a shout out to John Cena because I honestly believe he's the man who donated $40,000 to the Shad Gaspard GoFundMe. So regardless if it's known or not known, Cena's an awesome guy and he will do that type of stuff. CTC forever, boys.
Absolutely.
I also want to say a big shout out to AEW for even just recognizing everybody that they did. They recognized Shad and they recognized Hana Kimura, both in separate spots. They both gave them a little bit of time, and you also saw the influence in the matches too. So big shout out to AEW there.
Yeah, you got to give them respect for that because, you know, while they were putting on their own show, they did dedicate some of their time to even say thanks to the first responders in their opening. So.
As I was saying, I love that opening. The first responders, then Shad, and then Kimura. I loved that everything. Like, they really put thought into that. God bless.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought the entire show was top notch from top to bottom. Every part was thought out. You know, like everything. There's no bad point. Like I feel like AEW put on a spectacular show with everything going on in the world right now. I think they're way above and beyond on like what they're doing. So much respect to AEW as a whole organization.
Absolutely. Were you gonna say something for her? Or?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's just like, you know, even when it's bad, it's still good because it's just everything they're doing is just phenomenal. And I don't know if that makes me a mark for the whole company, but it's just, I don't never have a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to them. I just don't. I don't know if it's just years of just shit wrestling and shit booking that's just like, finally, things that make sense and creative, or I don't know. It just does me justice to watch it, always.
Well, let's start it off with the casino ladder match. So one at a time, we had both members of SCU starting out, which I thought was kind of odd, because Frankie Kazarian came out, and then they hit the theme song again, and then Scorpio Sky came out, which I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I just felt that was a little weird that they had, two
I feel
guys.
like they're trying to get.
The fact that both members of SCU were in the match to begin with was a little odd for me, but the fact that then they started off was just like, I mean, it worked. No worries there. Like, obviously, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian know each other so well, so they were able to put on some incredible moves together. Oh, that was a good start.
I'll say this about
memory.
SCU before you guys say. I want to say this about SCU. When this company started, SCU was always in the prime light. They're always in these big matches for titles. They were part of the storyline with Brody Lee's debut. And I feel like in this ladder match, they would give them the opportunity. But SCU is one of those tag teams that I've been with this company. Like, they've always been in that prime light moment. So I feel like that's why they kind of gave it to them. Because everybody's familiar with Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. So they just wanted to, even though their faces have been with the company, like, in those moments, I just feel like they wanted to add more to them. Like, they can show off their singles match skills rather than their tag team.
Refresh my memory. Was the whole match generated by random of who would come out as they presented it?
Sort of, yes. It was.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like you knew who was coming out next.
It was like you knew which wrestlers were in the match. You just didn't know what order they were going to come out. It was like a Royal Rumble type style match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
It's actually kind of funny because when Kaz got introduced first, I was like, it'd be kind of funny if Scorpio Sky comes out next. What happens? He comes out next.
Well,
it's like if you're gonna do it, it's like it's done the way it is and great. But if the rest of it's random, it's kind of like, you defeated a random purpose. Like, what are the odds? But the odds just happen to come into full effect. So
yeah, but
I thought the ladder match was really good, actually.
What was that?
No, I was saying I thought the ladder match was really good. I know some people had their skepticisms in terms of how it was online from when I was reading on Wrestle Talk and then cage side seats. So for me, I thought it was planned out okay, but I feel like it could have gone to another notch. But it was good though. It was good for what it was. I think it was good.
Yeah.
What was that one spot that they fucked up? It was just so bad.
I think it
Darby
was.
almost killed himself.
Darby almost died twice.
Well,
Darby fell off the top rope, and he had to.
What it was. Well, let me get to the rest of it. So let's go. So we had Kip Sabian come out after both members of SCU, and he had Jimmy Havoc and Penelope Ford get involved in this match. Mostly Jimmy Havoc, which I guess the fact that they're including the fact that that there is no disqualifications, so they let Jimmy Havoc be a part of this match technically, and he took some insane bumps, especially with the ladder. But he also did play a major role in, Sabian's performance in the match. And I think them two as a tag team are actually coming along pretty well. I don't know how you guys feel.
I think they are doing phenomenal. I mean, you got two Brits that are put together, and they just have chemistry. I mean, you got something in common, even though it's just one of the least knowledgeable, like I didn't even know Kip Sabian was even British. And it's just like
I didn't know that either.
They're British, but it's like, they got a dynamic going on. Kip Sabian's kind of like that cocky heel, and you got Jimmy Havoc, who's just a nutcase. You put them two together, they could balance themselves out, but how many times have you seen random wrestlers put together? Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember when Punk and R-Truth put together, like John Morrison and like R-Truth.
Who hasn't R-Truth been put together with?
Yeah, like the weirdest thing. Batista
were put together.
Yeah, R-Truth, the only ever good tag team he was in was with The Miz when they went full on heel, the Hell in the Cell match. They just berated everybody. Triple H going pissed off on everybody.
That was actually a good team. That was actually a good team back in the day. And then his run with Kofi Kingston was actually pretty good. So.
For the record, I would definitely put the R-Truth and Miz thing not on creative, but on Punk, because Punk was probably like, get those two fuckers in a feud with me because they are talented and you're fucking them up.
And also, nowadays, what is a tag team division WWE now? They show no care with that.
What's a tag team?
You know who has a great tag team division now, though?
AEW.
We'll get to that in a second.
All
So
right,
let me just list off the rest of the competitors, and we can continue from there. So from there,
my excitement just got juiced up. I'm sorry.
No worries. Let me just name off the rest so we can keep going. So Darby Allin came after him, and I believe who was it? Joey Janela came. No, Orange Cassidy, who just a genius in his own way. Then it was Joey Janela, then Luchasaurus, and then finally, am I missing anybody?
No.
Before the mystery participant.
Did
Did you say Darby?
No,
yeah,
I said
Darby was
Darby.
fourth.
Darby.
Okay, so I'm not missing anybody. So the mystery participant, I did not see that coming. Brian Cage came out with Taz as his manager, just as Darby was climbing the ladder after everything that Darby had been put through. You know, the fact that he tried to ollie off one of the ladders, that was just an insane spot right there. I literally thought he broke his knees right there. That was insane.
And then the next night on Dynamite, he was phenomenal. He was just so dominant. So it was perfect.
Is it bad that I think Darby Allin's the Daniel Bryan of a couple years ago in this very moment? In like the
If
past
they don't
year.
do the same storyline where they're like,
Not like I'm not talking about the storyline, but like he's always the underdog. He's always like seen as the underdog, and he's put in these matches you would not expect. If he was in WWE, he'd be just a regular jobber in the cruiserweight division.
Oh,
skinny little white kid skater. I mean, yeah, of course you are. He's
Yeah,
on the
but
Joe
like
Pack.
with AEW, they're like always putting him as the underdog and when you put him in those type of matches, he's always excelling as one of the top superstars in AEW right now.
Well, yeah,
Listen,
he's making
putting
That's how
Darby
you build
Allin,
somebody.
pinning Darby Allin in the same category as Daniel Bryan is not bad.
no.
You don't want to put Darby Allin in the same category like with Marco Stunt because that's just ridiculous. Marco Stunt would be like Gilbert to me, to be honest.
You bet El Torito, dog.
Or Hornswoggle.
Oh my
El
God.
Torito's in his own
Well, I
lane.
mean,
man.
I was gonna say at least Marco
Cowboy
Stunt
Lang.
could actually wrestle compared to Hornswoggle. So
He also played a part in this match.
he actually did, helping out Luchasaurus for a few moments, and then Luchasaurus went face to face with Brian Cage, and the spot I believe they were mentioning with Darby was that Cage had him set up on a ladder on the top rope, and the ladder had given or like it tipped over, and Darby had fell off. But luckily, I guess he caught himself, and they just picked it right back up. And then, Cage literally
He still almost died.
deadlifted Darby on his shoulders and just threw him towards the ladder. That was just freaking insane. Like, obviously, Brian Cage is a powerhouse, no doubt about that. But you also got to give him points for athleticism and agility because he was throwing some kicks, some nice knees, and then the fact that he was able to just pop out after they had piled, what was it, a guardrail and one of the poker chips.
They literally buried him under debris.
Yeah, and then to solidify it, you had Joey Janela freaking do a Death Valley driver on Orange Cassidy on the poker chip that he was under. So the fact that he was okay after all that, God, Brian Cage is going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially when it comes to the title picture, as he became the winner of the Casino ladder match and will face Jon Moxley apparently at Fyter Fest. I didn't even
later this summer.
Later this summer, yeah. So
that was quick.
We don't have a date.
Yeah, there's no confirmed date, but apparently they're gonna pull off Fyter Fest somehow this summer. What do you guys think about that? Because I thought they were just gonna go straight to All Out. I didn't know there was gonna be a little.
I think leading up to Fyter Fest, I think Darby's gonna join an alliance with Jon Moxley because they're both psycho heads, and since Cage is going to get in Moxley's head, Darby Allin has that whole feud with Taz. So it's going to be like one of those storylines, I believe, between Darby Allin, Moxley, and Brian Cage and Taz.
I was going to say, I thought of that too, because, like, what's it called? Again, this is before I knew Fyter Fest was happening. So you have 3 months, considering, well, maybe a little more than 3 months, since All Out's going to be in September this year. So you have that 3 month span of the AEW's normal pay-per-view calendar, where they can literally do maybe half that time spent putting Darby and Cage in like a small rivalry before he puts his focus on Mox for the world title. But since going straight to Fyter Fest, I guess it's just like, no, we're just gonna go straight to Mox right now.
Well,
honestly, I think they should have. Go ahead, Ferrar.
Joey, think about this though. Fyter way. I'm sorry if I interrupt you guys. I don't even know you're speaking because fucking Zoom sucks that I talk over you guys. I'm really sorry about that.
I mean, it's part of an interruption at this point.
Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen last year, if we're going to keep the chronological order, they were both in June and July, and they were, think, about 3 weeks apart. So Fight for the Fallen and Fyter Fest are not really going to be that all big. Yes, it's going to be big because we're getting competition. We're getting, a show regardless. But for something big, all out, I would see then like Darby Allin, maybe going for something, and maybe MJF finally going for the world title. That's when I think that you would really put that shit in.
I agree 100%. I think Fyter Fest is more like a backlash for
like a
minor pay-per-view. It's bigger than a Dynamite, but it's not like an All Out or Double or Nothing or nothing like that. So I agree completely. Have Fyter Fest in like mid-July. That's perfectly in between now and All Out. And I think Darby and Cage would be a good build-up for Cage to go into Moxley at All Out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're not doing that.
That AEW Dynamite in July we're scheduled to go to. I think it's going to be postponed another year, sadly. So because it sucks, but honestly, going with, I know the next match wasn't it MJF and Jungle Boy?
MJF and Jungle Boy. That was before every other match that happened that night. I had considered that the best match of the night. MJF.
That was a very good.
Absolutely.
Put on a hell of a match. Very back and forth. Very good storytelling, mind you, and just you have Jungle Boy's relentlessness. His heart, his determination, and then you got MJF, who's just being a cocky son of a bitch right now, and the best one at that. So. That's just,
you can back it up.
Oh yeah.
I had my prediction as MJF getting disqualified as EC3 joins AEW, but now that I think about it, if MJF is fighting for the title by All Out, either EC3 turns on him or EC3 joins him and helps him win the title against Moxley.
Well, that is if they do sign EC3, which I don't think we hope they do.
I don't want Moxley just yet. If that makes, I don't know if you heard me.
I don't think they want to drop it from Moxley yet either. But you know something though? How does Moxley winning against Brody Lee? I can see it. How does Moxley win against Brian Cage? That's my
thing. The stage.
Same thing.
I mean, Cage fucking is clearly like the Brock Lesnar compared to like.
I was gonna say because I was listening to our dear friend JD, and he was like, his pairing of Brian Cage and Taz could be like the equivalent of Brock Lesnar or Paul Heyman, and Taz has the mouth for that too. So
Taz has the attitude, like Paul Heyman has the stern, like he says it himself. So you can't come after me after this. He's got this stern Jew lawyer attitude, which is like works out perfect. Again, it's his words, not mine. That works out perfect for him. But at the same time, like Taz, he's just like this old school tough Bronx motherfucker that's just like, yo, we're dropping bodies with this guy, and that's it. And that was what his words were at Double or Nothing. He said, well, I'm dropping bodies with him. Stay out of my way. And it was sick. So I could see it.
And you got to think of it this way, too. With Taz and Cage having that background and impact, you would think this would be like the perfect pairing for them, too. So it's just like, who better to manage Cage than Taz right now?
Hell, Taz is intimidating by himself without a mic, even in a suit. Like, I don't think any of us is trying to step up to Taz.
He has one of the best chokeholds of all time.
That's like murder-suicide right there.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true. Well, let's talk about the match, MJF and Jungle Boy. It was very, very back and forth, very, very athletic between both of them. In that spot where Jungle Boy did a poison rana on the apron with MJF, Jesus Christ.
Beautiful.
I literally thought MJF broke his neck from there. I was like, oh, crap. He's done. He's done.
And you saw the ref go over immediately, too. Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was saying I thought that spot was beautiful. And the entire match was fantastic. I give that a 4.8, 4.9.
Out of 5?
Damn near 5. Yeah, out of 5. Damn near out of 5.
I would not argue with that because, like I previously said, before the main event, that was my match of the night.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
MJF is probably one of the best heels in the business right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I say that with 100% pride. He is the best heel. He's one cocky SOB from Long Island, and I fully accept it.
Why? Because you see him in it. You see yourself in him.
I don't see myself.
I see himself in you, or however. Yeah.
See, he has luscious hairs. He doesn't have a beautiful bald spot and Greekness in him.
Oh boy.
You look like you could have been a hole on the match.
You know what, Skeeves? It's not too late. If QT Marshall can get that fixed, maybe so can you.
It's
a big investment. It's a big investment. Don't get me wrong, but it works.
It happens quite often with Greeks, so I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, anyway, moving on from
at least it's thick.
Yeah, moving on from Steve's hair problem, we had Cody defeat Lance Archer to become the inaugural AEW TNT champion.
I gotta say, when I first saw the belt, I was like, ew. But then I heard them say they didn't finish it because of the pandemic. I was like, okay, I take it back.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people were starting to shit on the belt, and then I guess they didn't hear Tony Schiavone say it's not done yet because the plating factory was closed due to the pandemic. So it's like you guys are rushing to judgments on a title that's not even done yet. Damn.
Well, remember what happened with the Universal
holding it, and the caption said AEW found the 24/7 championship's long lost brother. I was like, yo.
Well, I was going to say, remember the Universal title at SummerSlam 2016. That belt is fucking horrible looking.
I mean, don't you forget that
now? So,
don't you remember the time where Mick Foley was about to show off the 24/7 championship and he already released it? Like it was falling right out the bag before he even said, "Here's the 24/7."
Oh my God! Yes, I remember it.
I remember that like it.
Oh my God.
Foley is great, but he's just a fucking babbling mess. You know what though? When they consistently had him on TV as general manager, he did good. The only time was that he had his teeth falling out, which is like, you got to get some fucking glue in there, pal. But it's all right.
Put that shit back in. Call Burt Baker if you have to. Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, oh no, we can't do that.
Well, he's gonna need a shorter chair.
Well, here's something that's up for debate right now. So there was a spot in the match where Cody, did a little something that resembles, let's just call it, he resembled Sting in a minute, where he did his woo, and then he did a Stinger splash to Lance Archer in the corner. So could that be foreshadowing something that we're not expecting right now?
I believe so, because I don't think Cody would do that. I don't think Cody would do that if there wasn't any ground to AEW getting Sting, because it doesn't make sense for him to do a Stinger splash in a championship match.
You got that?
Look, there, right there.
It doesn't make any sense for him to do that.
Lower your brightness.
In a championship match, if they're not close to getting Sting.
There you. Yeah.
That's a nice looking belt.
I mean, you can't really see it, but it's actually there is gold in the belt.
Yeah, it's gold plated. It's all.
Oh, yeah. It looks good. It looks like a boxing belt, which I like.
It's and what better what? You know what this pisses me off about the whole thing is everybody's getting pissed off that AEW copied the 1998 segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mike Tyson. This is completely different because Mike Tyson's 53 years old and he's looking to get back in the boxing ring. So this is perfect advertisement for AEW. You can have Tyson as many shows as you want, but this is perfect advertisement because this is going to lead up to his boxing match possibly in July. So it's good advertisement on AEW
Has that been confirmed, though?
It's not confirmed.
Oh, no,
here
it's not?
It's not confirmed with the Saudi Arabia. There's a rumor that he was going to fight Evander Holyfield in Saudi Arabia, but now they're saying that Tyson Fury was offered to fight Mike Tyson in an exhibition match. So I honestly don't know when the exact date will be, but he's looking to get back in that boxing ring.
So they confirmed that Mike Tyson's trying to make a comeback, though, right?
Yeah, they've been hopping around the fact that he was going back in. So I don't know, but you know something though, even if he is, even if he isn't, it's still something we got great because we have the whole thing with the Inner Circle that happened on Dynamite, which was the best thing I've seen in such a long time. You want to do a brawl? That's how you do it. After they did it with John Cena and Brock Lesnar, they fucked it up. Even with The Undertaker, they kept doing it over and over again. It was just bad all around.
I think it's the only reason they fucked up back then is because they didn't let them fight as long. They were so quick to try to separate the guys so they wouldn't get hurt. And I guess with Cena and Lesnar, it's different because Lesnar actually busted Cena open in the mouth. But with Tyson and Jericho last night on Dynamite, that was just that was just a pure brawl between the Inner Circle and Tyson's entourage right there. Which, if I'm not mistaken, it was Rashad Evans, Henry Judo, and
I had no idea who those people were.
they're all MMA fighters. Let's put it that way. They're all MMA fighters. So
the funniest thing about Cody and Lance's match is they actually had a camera show Tyson holding the belt, but he yawned. So immediately they cut to that. They cut that camera. I saw it on. If you guys don't follow WrestleBotch on Instagram, go follow them. They have one of the best contents of all wrestling type of botches.
Oh man! No, I saw that.
It was like this.
Watching it,
just
watching
like
it on my
this.
BR Live. He's just like, oh my god! They actually showed Mike Tyson yawning. That's gonna suck. Like people are gonna be all over that.
Yeah, here it is.
Man.
Yeah, struggle
right there. So they cut so quick to the match, but there were some good spots in this match, though. You know, with Cody doing a DDT and Lance doing a spine buster, kind of like trying to piss off the other's manager and whatever. And then the fact that they both got ejected over some dumb shit that Arn was doing to Lance, and then obviously, you know, what's good. Like, what good is a Jake the Snake appearance without him carrying a burlap sack trying to get to the ring? But
that's true.
But do you think the Snake was in there, or do you think it was just a prop?
No, it was definitely a prop. It was a prop because that bag was bigger.
That bag ain't moved.
Pillows.
That bag ain't moved.
Even if he did have a real snake, we couldn't have seen it because Mike Tyson was so quick to get on the stage and tear his shirt off just to try and back Jake off. But all in all, it was a good match and a good way for Cody to become the inaugural TNT champion.
Yeah, I think Lance looked pretty strong because he was dominating for most of the match, considering he also threw Cody literally over the post to the outside.
Yeah.
But as the match went on, I was like, Lance is losing. Lance is going to look strong in defeat, isn't he? And sure enough, that's what happened. I also like how Cody made a callback to literally the entire Rose family line, doing a move out of all three of their playbooks.
That was just insane. All right, so next up on the card, we had Chris Statlander defeating Penelope Ford, which was a no-brainer. We all put in our chance for Chris Statlander. Yes, Ferrara, have your little orgasm right there. So.
Yeah, greatest ally. Alien's greatest ally.
Yeah. Dustin Rhodes defeated Shawn Spears, and what I thought they were going to be a serious match, but it turned out just to be a little sketch they were doing just to put over Dustin. No biggie, no harm, no foul. Dustin got put over, and Shawn had some interesting choice in underwear, but I'm not going to get into that.
I love it.
Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose to become the new AEW Women's World Champion in a brutal match. When all I got to say is that poor kendo stick. Yo, RIP that kendo stick, man.
Once that stick cracked Nyla, I knew it was wrapped. The knee was just added bonus.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then Jon Moxley retained his AEW World Championship against Brody Lee in a brutal match, which also involved a nice paradigm shift through the stage, which kind of gave me a little reminiscence of Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz back in ECW. That was just insane. The way they broke the ramp. Jesus Christ. And the fact
that Brody was bleeding, my God, his head looked like.
What's funny is Brody kicked out at one after.
Yeah, that's true. And we all thought that, you know, they booked themselves into a corner with this match, but no, they actually made Brody look strong in the end. So this was a perfect way, you know, not only to put over Mox as champion, but to keep Brody so dominant as leader of the Dark Order.
Like I say, they never do wrong.
They can't. Even just when you think they did wrong, nope.
They find a way.
So now the main event, the Elite defeating the Inner Circle in the Stadium Stampede match. I like the way I said that. Stadium Stampede.
That was a great match.
Okay, my favorite thing was Matt Hardy in the pool transitioning between all his gimmicks.
Jeez, yeah.
I have a lot of favorite things. I'll let Oscar go through that.
Yeah, we basically have the same amount of favorite moments. So you have the Inner Circle coming out in replica football attire, which I thought was pretty cool.
That was
the numbers I thought they were just random numbers. So it's just Chris Jericho coming out at number 27, the number his dad wore in the NHL. Sammy Guevara coming out as number 93, the year he was born, which makes you realize how young Sammy Guevara is. So damn. Jake Hager, his number was the same number he wore back in Oklahoma when he was a Sooner. And then you have Santana and Ortiz coming out as 51-50. And if you don't get that, you obviously don't get your street slang. So don't even try stepping into the hood.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So they treated this, although it was a fight, they treated it like a football match, which is something I actually enjoyed. So you have obviously the kickoff where them just charging at each other. But you didn't see Hangman Page there for the Elite, and Kenny was reassuring them that, he was coming. Lo and behold, Hangman shows up on a fucking horse.
Cowboy shit.
How majestic did you get?
I mean, this match was pre-recorded, so I'm pretty sure they took their time with it to make it perfect.
Definitely.
So So the pay-per-view was on Saturday night. They said they shot this on Friday night, literally the day before, with 16.
They wanted to make.
16
they wanted to make
cameras. And they literally
16
cameras.
But don't forget, there were so many angles because obviously since it was done where the Jaguars played, they had that camera right in the center. So I'm pretty sure they had the top view and they had a bunch of views because a lot of the cameras they were using are like the ones they use for the NFL. So all these different angles, they did it beautifully.
Now I'm wondering this: once they use 16 camera angles, did Tony Khan actually hit up his Jaguars production crew? Just
send the TD down, bro.
Because no way you can get 16 camera angles from like from like 5 or 6 people. No
they
way.
had to. I mean, listen, if you think about a full day of filming, if we all put filming perspective, you film about 2 or 3 minutes a day, right? So there's a lot of prep, but you're prepping literally only for one spot. And you're not doing much lighting because that's what a lot of lighting and prep and, meals and stuff. And you're doing meals before that. So you got a good – how long was the match? Like an hour? The match was like a half hour or something.
Like
30 minutes.
Half hour.
Like half an hour.
The match was 34 minutes to the exact dot. So, yeah, you got 34 minutes plus you take in consideration how you're filming it, all these different angles. You got about a good hour and a half because the way they did the stuff – the way they did this stuff with Hardy, the way they did it with not Vanguard. What was the other one?
Neo one?
Yes, Neon. Yes, Neo. All that they did, forget it. And had the crew around the clock just editing that, making sure it's perfect before it went out.
And they literally showed up WWE. They literally said, "Hey, nice job WWE on your pre-recorded matches. We'll show you how it's done."
We'll do a real match.
So we had Hangman coming on a horse, and then while he's making laps around TIAA Field, he, gets off his horse, stopping his search for Sammy Guevara after he chased him down. And classic Hangman goes off to the bar for a drink. And while that is happening, you have Matt Hardy getting double teamed by Santana and Ortiz. I did not know there was a pool. Even though it was 3 feet, a 3-foot pool over in the stadium. I thought that was pretty cool. And they tossed Matt Hardy in there. Santana jumps in, and I found that really funny that Ortiz is just like, "I can't swim. I can't swim." I'm like, it's 3 feet.
Dude, it's like 3 feet.
I can't swim.
No, there was a lot of controversy because and Matt Hardy cleared the air because of the passing of Shad Gaspard. A lot of people were criticizing AEW for that exact part with the pool, but Matt Hardy the next day tweeted something and like he was clearing it out the air, like saying he made it the Lake Reincarnation, like the topic of the thing. That was what the whole plan was. It was nothing against Shad or anything.
I mean, how can you expect something like that to happen if you're gonna have a match like that? And I'm pretty sure it was planned ahead of time for them to do, mass reincarnations in the pool. So it's like, what are they gonna do? Cut that part out? Plus, especially
they stuck him in an ice machine.
How well it turned out too.
They stuck him in an ice machine and did it.
But
there's always an ice machine involved in this match. I swear.
It is what it is, but you know what? They took Matt down. He comes up. I don't know why. They keep saying it's V1 Matt. I see it as Team Extreme Matt that came up first.
And V1 Matt is actually Big Money Matt, is what they're saying. But, I think they have to do that because it might be a copyright.
Probably.
playing with WWE because
But
there
it's
always is.
But it's all Matt's gimmicks. So shouldn't he have property of that shit or copyright of that?
I don't know.
You
All
know,
I'm
the
saying is
WWE
that-
legal teams.
yeah, all I'm saying is
Whatever.
copyrights have to be like the one looming thing. His only weakness.
Well, whatever the
Matt
case may
Hardy's
be.
Matt Hardy's like Superman, and these these
Copyrights
copyrights are
kryptonite.
like his kryptonite. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So it's a problem.
Shout out to the Matt facts though. Matt can hold his
Yes.
breath for 348 seconds underwater.
Yeah, and you had the little like the video game screen that Santana and Ortiz were able to see. They were just like, what the hell is this? And yeah, Matt came up as V1, Matt V1, and then I've just found it funny that every time they kept putting him underwater, they cut to a shot of him under the water doing like first it was like and then he's like he's doing this underwater, and then third time he comes up, he's broken Matt again, just doing spots with Santana and Ortiz, ringing the bell with Ortiz under it. I almost said Santana, but we got to give props also to Matt Jackson for pulling off that insane moonsault off the goalpost with a broken rib, no
broken
less.
ribs.
Take pointer, Charlotte.
Just the fact that Matt was just like, I got a broken rib. Let me do this moonsault anyway. Just
Let me moonsault off a 10-foot goalpost.
He did this before he did the moonsault. I
yeah,
don't
he
know.
was literally saying his prayers as he.
Praying to God, please do not kill me on this football field.
He ate
Word.
his vitamins and said his prayers.
I mean, the team's already dead here, so don't make me dead.
Oh boy.
Wow.
But props to Matt Jackson for that. And then you have Hangman and Jake Hager in a classic barroom brawl. So, Jake Hager finds Hangman at the bar, sits down next to him. Hangman pours him a drink, slides it over. He's just like, you come here to drink or you come here to fight? 10 seconds later, what's the difference? And they just started going at each other. But when they were doing their spots on the pool table, I don't know why. I just got some flashbacks of watching Rush Hour for some reason. Just like that. Y'all know which part I'm talking about when they're in the
It was
pool?
the time where Jackie Chan comes to LA and then he goes to like this located bar. He tells the guy not to smoke weed. And then while Chris Tucker's talking to his friend in the enclosed room, Jackie Chan starts fighting these people over the
Yeah, it just gave me flashbacks of that. Just like the way Hangman's dodging Jake Hager as he's like trying to hit him across the pool table. I'm just like, oh boy, did he study his Jackie Chan moves on this for this match? Just like Jesus Christ. And then Kenny Omega jumps in and just how many bottles did they break over Jake Hager's head? What was it like?
A lot.
It was like
Five.
it was like of the bottles at least.
But you also had the classic Western table slide where Jake Hager literally slid Paige across the bar.
He
Through
definitely
glasses.
had a cut somewhere somehow.
But my favorite part of that match was when you see Kenny Omega just bend over, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then Hangman literally does a flip over his back to deliver the buckshot lariat to Hager over the bar. And then you see just Kenny and Hangman sharing a drink. Well, Kenny with a glass of milk and Hangman with a shot of Jack Daniels just to close off that part of the show.
And
And
say
then-
they're on the same page.
I see what you did
Same
there.
now.
Hangman page.
For now, we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
But another shout out to was it Matt to the Young Bucks for was it Matt or was it Nick?
I think it was Nick.
Nick delivering. Well, I don't know if it was actually.
I call
It
it a
was actually a-
suplex six. 100-yard, probably not actually 100 yards, probably more like 25, but 100-yard suplex for a touchdown. And then he got flagged.
From
For
one end
Northern
zone
Lights
to the other. Northern Lights suplexes on Sammy Guevara from just 100 yards of suplexes. But imagine if he actually pulled that off. How discombobulated they both would have been if that was actually the case. And then he does his little dance, and then one of the refs flags him for that.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, then he gets super kicked for his efforts.
What a load of bullshit.
The only time you can do that.
That was a pretty nice skit that they did. I thought that
That's a fine in the NFL. Probably suspension.
Another-
And Sammy Guevara didn't have a 100-yard, I guess, I don't know, 100-yard musketeer suplexes out the ass from Jackson Brothers. Nick, whoever it was.
From Nick Jackson. Just
Yeah, I was about to say, help me, please.
we got you. We
Just
got
sitting there,
you.
let me struggle,
So
let me fail.
so another moment in this match that I thought was just funny as hell. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot Jackson DeVille just come up and just taunt Chris Jericho. I guess they call it. He did the suck it pose. I just saw him as him like pushing up his
that's
gut
what
on
he did.
Jericho, and then next thing you know, boom, Judas effect.
Just
to the
like what
mask.
they've been receiving from the NFL since they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Sorry, Jaguars fans.
Ouch.
Sammy wakes up blacked out, kind of just how I blacked out for the minute. And what do we see? The crazies are at it again.
The golf cart chase part 2 with Matt Hardy driving and Kenny Omega just going, yeah. Here we go again, Sammy, just charging at him. But Sammy evaded this time. And what's it actually called when they like charge down the field and they jump to the stands? What do they call that?
Oh, it's a Lambo leap, but they're not Lambo. It's kind of just, I guess, a stadium leap.
So yeah, he pulls off a stadium leap and they start, chasing him up and down the stands. And before we get to that, you see a point where the Young Bucks have Jericho on a table and you have Nick Jackson running down the stands to deliver a splash to Jericho on the table. That was just insane. And then you have Hangman drawing a line up his body, crotch first too.
But before that, Jericho took out one of them. I think it was Matt. He took out, and he kicked out at 2. And he told Aubrey to go to the challenge, and
He
literally pulled
the
out
play.
the challenge. They both went to the booth. The coach isn't supposed to be in the booth, but he's Chris Jericho. He's going to do what he wants anyway. And they reviewed it. The review, like everybody saw, came out as he kicked out, and he called Aubrey a shitty ref.
That was just funny as hell right there. But anyway.
I was like, what did Audie ever do to you? Well, I said Audrey. Damn it. You know
Aubrey, man.
Can I just say something?
What's up?
As much as that match was great, there's some other topic we want to get into. And we all have our different opinions about this. But which topic you want to guys start off with? JD's hold.
Hold on. Well, we get. Let us finish this. So yeah, they have the Elite chasing Sammy Guevara, and the introduction of Neo One, Matt Hardy's new drone friend. I don't know if it's Vanguard reincarnated, but either way, Matt Hardy's got a new companion, and to end the whole match, you have Kenny Omega delivering a massive one-wing angel to Sammy Guevara from the top of an entrance point in the field.
That was beautiful.
What was it, like 18, 20 feet?
It was far.
To a crash pad for the 3 count. And the Elite are your Stadium Stampede champions. So
match of the night.
Bravo. Just bravo to AEW on that match. Oh boy. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next topic. Well, while Double or Nothing was on May 23rd, 2020, we want to go back 21 years, May 23rd, 1999, tragically known as the day Owen Hart had passed. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually took a drink in honor of Owen Hart.
God bless.
On Saturday. So, Dark Side of the Ring had premiered their season finale with Owen Hart and the story of, if you don't know the incident, go look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Is the tragic fall that took his life, and this was just probably one of the most emotional episodes that Dark Side of the Ring has ever produced. You have Martha Hart, giving her side of the story, and the Godfather, D'Lo Brown, Chris Jericho there. And I don't know about you guys, but Chris Jericho is very good at narrating all these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I agree 100%.
Especially when it comes to, stories that I'm pretty sure he was involved in, or he was there for anyway.
So So let's dive into Owen Hart, shall we? 'Cause,
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I really want to take a good turn on this. So yes, we had the Owen Hart episode of Dark Side of the Ring air a couple of weeks ago, just to end off the season. The whole season was just phenomenal, by the way. There's a lot of speculation that happens when it comes to wrestlers dying in the ring. Eddie Guerrero had it. Chris Benoit had it, where Chris Benoit also had his episode way back in the beginning of the season. And now Owen Hart. And Owen Hart has always been kind of a mystery. And things were never really clear. And throughout the years, Owen Hart was never really paid to mind as, it could be, whatever is more than what it was, just an accident. But sometimes things just don't appear to what they are. I mean, even before the episode aired, I had some knowledge of the fact that Roddy Piper had felt that Vince Russo was a part of the reason why Owen had died. Russo and Piper did have words years, down the line on a podcast before, after they had words in the TNA NWA ring when it first started out. And Piper had said that was my cousin and my cousin is dead. And there is their own way about it. Russo is just nothing more than just a chicken without its head. Clearly, because he has no idea what's going on, and he was the one that wrote that up. And Piper has said, he goes, Owen Hart and I come from the same time where if you're being impossible to work with, they will screw you. And a perfect example is that if you were a champion, you had 6 weeks to tell them that you go into another promotion, 4 weeks if you were a hot draw, 2 weeks if you were really nobody. So what they do was they told you in one promotion, how long you're going to be, and he's going to say, well, maybe I'll be out in 4 weeks. Okay, because I have another promotion that wants to hire me. They will be in contact. They will have you move with your family to another territory, and they won't book you because you are impossible to work with, labeled as such. Owen Hart did not want to do that. First off, Owen Hart, before he got back into the Blue Blazer gimmick and was going up 100 feet from the ring, okay, there was an angle that he wanted, that the WWE wanted him to do with Deborah, or I think some Terry
they
Runnels.
wanted him to be in like an affair or some stuff.
Yes, and
like
he said,
that.
I'm not doing that because it's not the way I want my family to be.
Well, I mean, with Brett gone in WCW after the Montreal screw job, which I gotta give him props for, by the way, because while your own brother's pissed off at the company, and you set that aside and just do your own thing, not letting his past or his emotions affect your career. You got to give him props for that. And
right. So moving on, we have him now denying an affair angle. Okay, well then he has to do the Blue Blazer, and at the time, the way that Owen Hart was perceived, Owen Hart could have fit in the category of wrestlers that wrestle today. Instead, he was his own specimen back then. He was
absolutely
phenomenally with this.
His moveset was ahead of the times.
It was.
He was flipping off the top rope, flipping off guys' backs, just insane moves.
Yeah. And what shock was that he was going to do that, and to be brought up to be like, hey, we're going to have you in a harness 100 feet above the air. You're going to do a spectacular entrance. Owen doesn't want to do it. But Owen says, sure, why not? Because he said, well, to him, he's like, oh, I denied too many times. I don't want them to think they can't give me anything, which alludes to what Piper was talking about. Now, we have the incident presented as what it was. Nobody else has seen it except for the people that were there that day and whoever has it in the library in Stamford, Connecticut, because nobody is ever going to see that again unless somebody gets a right on that or buys that, okay? Now, we watch the documentary. What do we learn of this? Well, first off, we all speculated that something had to go wrong, and we were right because the way the gurney was rigged. Am I saying that right, gurney? The harness.
Well, the rigging system in general.
The rigging system.
But the thing that pissed me off was like they only let him. The only reason they put him on the harness is because they were trying to parody Sting in WCW, and I'm like, Sting is an entirely different character.
Which I want to get to, saying that they didn't do it right that they were supposed to. They did not spend the money they were supposed to get it done.
Yeah, I have that. Actually, I have that. Yeah, I have that here in my notes.
The rigging system was not so strong. It was only strong enough for pulling a boat.
So here's the thing. So the rigging equipment they used was, this is a quote, this is a quick release snap shackle, and was mainly used for dropping sails for sailboats, and the rig itself only needed 6 pounds of pressure to release. A lot of guns need 8 pounds to release. So if you have something that's lighter that needs less pressure than a gun to go off,
holding a human.
Wow.
It's done. And Vince had cut budgets, and I get and for this entrance he wanted to shave a few seconds off. But I'm like, why are you gonna risk your talent just to shave off a few seconds?
For
Like,
2 seconds.
literally for
That's
2
number
seconds.
that is number one. Number two was it the fact that Martha went with her own kids. Oh,
Yeah.
Martha is Owen's widow, and her kids had went, and they step by step took the steps that
On the
Owen did
catwalk, yeah.
on a catwalk to see how it happened, and she finally felt it, and she said, "Oh my God, this isn't right." Once she got the information, she was able to make sure that it can use it in court, and they went back to Missouri because that's where it was that day in that year, and they didn't get far with that. And Vince
Unfortunately
McMahon
not.
was a ruthless bastard that day in court. And also, too, it was at that point where they had the funeral, and it was just the Hart family, and that was it. And they didn't want anybody else there. So
Well, I mean, the Hart family, and like they said, 1,000 people.
They had
the wrestlers,
essentially
yeah,
the city of Calgary outside.
they had all the wrestlers and anybody else that was from WWE, like officials. They really didn't want them there. The wrestlers were there, sure, because they were family. It was like a fraternity, a sorority. Like they got that brotherhood between all the female and male wrestlers. And this is the biggest thing that was a bother to me. The biggest thing is that everybody was saying, Owen Hart is not in the Hall of Fame because of Martha. And you listen to a story about why he's not in the Hall of Fame, and I agree with it. With a company like this, with a man like Vince McMahon, why the fuck would you want your husband in that? I wouldn't. He's been in every other Hall of Fame that there's been for wrestling, but that one. And they're saying she's trying to stop that. She's got a good reason to stop it, and I stand behind.
Absolutely. And I want to jump back to the lawsuit with that in mind, because what's it called? Yeah, because Martha had tried to file a unwrongful death lawsuit against Vince, but Vince, being the petty motherfucker that he is, he did like a counter lawsuit for breach of contract, on Owen's behalf. And it's just like, why are you gonna sue her for breach of contract? And it turns out that in Missouri, they allow punitive damages to be filed, whereas in Connecticut, they don't. So literally, she could have gotten this lawsuit, and Vince would have had to pay punitive damages for, like, not only for the lawsuit, but also for Owen's death, just in general, just all those damages. It would have ruined him, and rightfully so. But the fact that he countered this all in Connecticut, Martha was screwed from there. And not to mention the fact that the Hart family themselves were screwing her as well, because they were like, basically, I don't know if they were trying to like save their family reputation with Vince or whatever, just with the company. But she was getting screwed by them because they like neglected her and they like shunned her, and not to mention they stole legal documents to give to Vince's legal defense. So it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, yo.
All right,
and he was
I think
so rude on him.
I would jump in on this one. So I've never watched an Owen Hart match or anything. I've only heard the name. I don't know him at all. Obviously, he died when I was 4. But after watching this documentary, I became a fan of Owen Hart, just seeing the type of man he was. You could tell he loved the business, but as a man, he put his family first.
Yeah.
All the time. He skipped out on a big show to spend Christmas with his kids. And first of all, that's one of the most commendable things you can do as a father. Family comes first, and my heart goes out to his family because they lost an incredible man. As for the tragic events that happened, first of all, there was no reason for him to go up there. He didn't want to do the gimmick. And he had a history of saying he didn't want to do certain things. Much alluded to, like Ferrara said, with the storyline with Deborah, he didn't want to do it because it'd feel like he's cheating on his wife. And how do you not respect that? So they made him do this spot from doing an entrance 80 feet in the air, I think they said, in Kansas City. And first of all, just hearing 80 feet in the air, I'm terrified. So I can only imagine what he's thinking, saying, I got to do this entrance with a harness on my back, trying to descend just to copy another entrance. He was scared for his life. And that's what they said in the documentary too. Like Martha said, I could only imagine what was going through his head seconds before it happened. And then he tragically fell. They obviously had to cancel the match because guy's lying in the ring. They forced JR on commentary to provide updates when they weren't really giving updates. And his last one was from Kevin Dunn saying, "Owen's dead. You're live in 10."
Yeah, that was so fucked up. That like
Are you serious?
he just told him he's dead. You're live in 10 seconds. Like what?
He's
Like-
dead. Tell the world. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you got 10 seconds to collect your thoughts. Like,
Like,
JR
what?
saw King coming back pale, like white as a sheet.
And
But-
the thing is that like JR in the best way possible was able to make that happen.
Yeah, because how do you put something like that into words? One of your best friends, somebody you think of as a brother, you got to tell on live television to the world that he's dead, but the show is going on. Like that's I get it from a showbiz point, but somebody literally died in the ring. I think people would understand if you stopped the show.
And then you screw her over in a lawsuit that basically settles for $18 million. Like, what is it with like lawsuits and like compensation for people's lives with money? Like,
Money's not going to bring them back.
exactly. Like
And
$18 million
man of that
isn't gonna revive Owen Hart. No.
Yeah. And then not only did they continue the show, they had another 4 matches where they were still Owen's blood in the ring. After
Literally, his
confirmation
blood
dead.
was on the mat, and there was a
And there was a break in the wood. So you felt where Owen fell. Like, come on. Like we know WWE does some shady stuff, but that's horrible, man. My heart really goes out to Martha and Athena and Oj. They lost a fantastic human being. And
absolutely.
hell, fuck the Hearts, dog. If
I was gonna say
they let their brother. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
They let one of their own die by the hands of WWE, who cut corners to hire people that didn't know what they were doing at the time. It was their first job. They hired a suboptimal rigging system to do this crazy stunt. And then not only did they want to move the lawsuit, which Martha was absolutely right in pursuing, from Missouri to Connecticut so that they wouldn't face the damages, but they also countersued and got help from the Hart family, who just lost somebody from their family.
Word. It's like they literally just stabbed their own in the back. Just like it's like Owen meant nothing to them, like just to save their family legacy. Like what the fuck, man? Like
I have to question the integrity of some people, but shout out to the wrestlers that went to the funeral and the entire city of Calgary that poured incredible support into Owen Hart's funeral.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
It's just insane how a company treated them, and then their own family, like his own brothers didn't want to do anything about it.
I don't cry much. I felt tears during this documentary.
Like
the worst thing about it was with Jim Cornette. The only time that I've seen that man actually be human and kind of shed a tear was Owen falling and the referee that was in the ring. He goes, "It killed me because the last thing that was said was that Owen was falling, and as Owen was falling, he was screaming, get out of the way. Get out of the way."
Looking out for other people, knowing he was going to die.
Selfless man, and in your last seconds, all you care about is not hurting anybody else. Meanwhile, he could have broke his fall. He would be alive, but not completely. But the referee could have been, sincerely hurt, but at least Owen would have been alive. But the fact that the situation that it was that he said, get out of the way. Owen was just a fucking saint, man.
Yeah.
What a great guy.
I mean, I never got the chance to watch the documentary, but I think right after this podcast, I think we're going straight to Vice and watching it, man.
It is worth a watch. I promise you.
And, shouts out to Martha Hart for being so strong throughout all this, and starting the Owen Hart Foundation, which, provides, college scholarships and housing for low-income families. She's a saint herself, doing what she knew Owen would have done for anybody else,
Yeah.
knowing that the good guy he was, and,
We
too
hope
soon,
that
man. He went too soon.
We hope that there's some justice in this sooner or later, especially when it comes to Vince, because he's, every episode we do is just always something wrong with this fucking man. He's just worse and worse each day, each time we do this
Word,
show.
and it's just like all
Eddie
these
Mac
things
Chronicles.
are resurfacing now of all times when they should have,
30 years
happened back
after they
then.
need to.
And
Yeah,
he's not changing. That's the worst thing.
exactly.
Worst thing about it is that he's not changing. He's just getting worse.
Eddie Mac Chronicles.
Yeah. We're gonna start that from now on. The Petty Mac Chronicles. Just listing off some of the horrible and petty shit that Vince McMahon has done.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's still in business is just, oh my God. All right, so from Owen Hart, we jumped to a situation that kind of boiled over this week. It's calmed down right now, but we just wanted to put our 2 cents in, and hopefully he doesn't shit on us for this. So if you haven't heard of a podcaster named JD, you should, first of all. Good podcaster. He's been doing this for 6 years now. Practically one of the reasons we started this podcast is because, we love voicing our opinions, and who better to take after than the man who has no filter himself. So, but with no filter always comes some controversy with that. So a troll account had taken a clip from one of his episodes from, I don't even know how long ago. Was it like a year or like
I think
3
it was
months?
a year ago.
A year ago?
I think so.
Basically, him giving his critique on Alexa Bliss's in-ring ability, but kind of putting it in putting it in a sexual analogy.
Distasteful way, we can say.
Yeah, in a pretty distasteful way. And she got wind of it, and it just caused him so much backlash. He got it. Not only did she retweet it, and she just went off. And, you got tweets from Paige, Sonya Deville, Braun Strowman, Maria Kanellis, Lance Storm. Mick Foley sent him a DM, but then he blocked him afterwards. And Road Dogg and Charlotte Flair criticizing, that one, criticizing him based off that one clip. And, obviously he went to the defense, and then, all these troll accounts just started sending him death threats, and just, it got so chaotic to a point where his own family was getting sent death threats, which is like, come on, y'all. Like, this is
Like,
just
I'll say
insane.
this. What that specific analogy he gave was wrong. I'll say that. It was terribly wrong. But if you don't remember, Triple H got a lot of backlash because remember when he did that interview, I think it was a couple months back, where he said that thing about Paige?
Yeah.
And then she
Oh, yeah.
responded back like, look, even my own boss has something to say about this.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get what he even came out. He apologized to Alexa Bliss, this and that, but it's just the way he got perpetrated is like, he's not a bad guy. He does this for a living, and he does it because he loves wrestling. And a majority of the time, everybody calls him an AEW mark. He criticizes AEW as equally as he criticizes WWE.
Oh,
all
yeah.
different types.
If you listen to his,
he's
his
an NXT
podcast from yesterday about his Dynamite reviews, or his his Double or Nothing review, he has his fair share of criticism, and he has the right to his opinion, as all of us do, with our freedom of speech. But there's always going to be some people who just take it so far, one out of context, and then they just blow it up and just like, oh, he's the devil, oh, he should die, and all that. And I'm like, yo, like, calm down with that, first of all.
This is what happens when you give stupid people a voice, honestly. When it comes to this whole situation, especially the whole feud that he had with Ryan Satin literally the day before, I wouldn't be surprised, as I think would be anybody else, that Ryan Satin would be kind of behind this, or probably perpetrated, or kind of had somebody else set up this, for him to be set up for failure. His comments and everything, look, you can't you really just can't flat out. You just can't compare a women's wrestling ability to how she performs in bed. That's just not the way to fucking go, man. It's not. And there's a lot of times where I do disagree with things that he says, but never before have I disagreed with something that he said that was just so distasteful, in a type of prejudice against how people are. He's very, very much critical of somebody's ring ability. I give him that. I used to really be on board with Alexa Bliss and her ring ability, but now I can't, and I can't get on with just really anybody or anything in the product. I don't care if you're The Undertaker and AJ Styles or you're fucking Titus O'Neil and Dana Brooke. I can't get on board with anybody. Here's my thing though. He was right to apologize, as he should have. I wanted him to apologize. You know what I didn't want him to do? And I'm waiting as we record this now. I'm waiting, hopefully, that it happens in the future. I wanted him to apologize, but I want him also to apologize for what he said, but for the emotion and the reason why he said it. I want him to be upfront with that. Because, listen, you can't sit here and compare somebody's in-ring ability to their performance in bed. Nah, that's fucked up. But what you can do is you got all these wrestlers that are coming out. Road Dogg didn't necessarily really agree with JD being fucked up. He was kind of agreeing from what I saw with other people's comments about the matter and saying that, yeah, I'm agreeing to the logic being used in these situations.
Yeah.
But he was walking on eggshells when that happened because it was happened on that Monday. And he was walking on eggshells when he was doing his Raw review, and he was
it didn't feel the same during his Raw review. What I want from him is I want him to be apologetic, as he should, because that was wrong, and he owns up to that. But what I don't want him to do is to sit back and say nothing. There's a lot to be said because it's not about Alexa Bliss being degraded to how she is in a bed. No, it's not about that. It's about more. It's about Alexa Bliss in this women's revolution that is bullshit. Not the women are bullshit, but the whole idea of the women's revolution is
the
bullshit.
premise of the revolution.
Nobody knows who got it started, and if you ask me personally, I say AJ Lee got it started, but that's besides the point. You cannot sit here and say that we're doing good. You cannot sit here and say that everything's going great, that creative's amazing, that we're making all this money and no problems in the world, and everybody's wearing fucking pedal shade glasses, or however that expression goes. You can't.
Rose color.
And it starts with the small things. And this is a small thing that could be a perfect transition for him to say, I'm sorry I said this. But you want to know why I said it? A, B, C, X, Y, Z. That's all. That's all.
Because let's face it, can he be harsh with his criticism? Yes. Can he say some fucked up shit? Yeah. But does he have the right to say it? Absolutely. Like, he has his freedom of speech. He has the right to give his own opinion. But, yeah, at the end of the day, you say something fucked up, I mean, yeah, you gotta apologize for one, because that analogy was kind of fucked up, and we appreciate the fact that he did apologize to that, but I just wish it didn't change the way he does his review, because basically, he always has a what's the word I'm looking for, like he doesn't take shit lightly, you know what I mean, like. He's very outspoken. That's what I wanted to say. Just the fact that we're as much as we're all fans. We're putting this to the side right now, but it's just a very outspoken guy who knows what he's talking about. So for all these people to say like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's just a lame podcaster and all that crap. I'm like, no, this guy's been watching for most of his life. So the fact that people are saying that like he doesn't know wrestling at all. If he didn't know wrestling at all, he wouldn't have his position with House of Glory right now.
I was just about to say, you can't discard him or discredit him because he's very involved with House of Glory, and they are one of the best independent promotions, like locally within a county or a state.
Off topic. Once this whole shit's over, we should catch a House of Glory show, man.
I've actually been to one.
Okay, another House of Glory show. But anyway.
I didn't say I wasn't going to go to another. I'm going to let Skeeves and Noah take this one because I feel like I might have a bit to say.
Skeeves, you want to go first?
You've been just chilling with your penthouse suite, relaxing.
Oh, man.
What if it's a green screen? I'm just not telling you guys.
Then you got some
That's
good
not a green
work.
screen.
Anyway,
What do you think? What do you think, Excuse? Or Noah, whoever. I'm sorry, I lost train of thought.
no, you're good. So for me personally, I feel like JD has to understand he has like what 33,000 followers or
On
30.
Twitter now, yeah.
He has
Before this thing, he had 30.7, and then over a day, he got up to 30.8.
Yeah, so he had about 30,000 followers. Now he's like 34, between 30 and 34,000. So like he is very much known in the wrestling community. If you don't know who JD is, like, do you really care?
Are you really a wrestling fan if you don't know who JD is?
You don't have to agree with him, but you probably have some knowledge of it.
Exactly. Like you know who he is. Like if you're a wrestling fan, you go to a show and you don't know who JD is, come on. It's like, are you really a wrestling fan? So he has to understand like he's pretty much in a broader wrestling landscape to where it's like, okay, I have to watch what I say. It's just as simple as that. And then to compare Alexa Bliss sexually, like, come on now. Would you do that for Roman Reigns? Would you do it for AJ Styles? Would you do it for any of the other big name wrestlers, Braun Strowman? Hell, would you do it for Bray Wyatt and all those creepy stuff Bray does? So you don't sexualize women in a way that's negative and impactful, especially now with everything going on with the Me Too movement. And that's not even to say with the Me Too movement you shouldn't do it then. You should just not do it in general. So to me, it's just kind of like my man, that's just not the way to go. And like I agree with Ryan. He needs to have a big time apology because it's not just Alexa Bliss he offended. Maria Kanellis with her child and her child as well. I don't know if she having a girl or not, but her child. You have Sasha Banks, Bailey, Charlotte, Paige, AJ Lee, even though she hasn't commented on it yet, but more than likely she saw it. You know, Natalia, Beth Phoenix. You know, who else? Well, you have pretty much
Man, bro.
Dana Brooke. You have all the NXT women, the main roster women, and you have AEW's women, Impact's women, and Impact Knockouts women. Like you have all of them. So it's not just one. It's just not one person you're talking about. He may have mentioned Alexa Bliss directly, but it's pretty much in the whole grand scheme of things, you know. And like that to me, it's just like his comment. Like why? Like it's no point.
The whole thing with that comment is, it was from a year ago. Like, it was totally wrong. Don't get me wrong, but it was from a burner account. Like, somebody had a burner account. Like, I bet you, I don't know if they just made it and just specifically pinpointed to that moment just to get all the attention. But didn't the burner account come out and said, I didn't mean for this to overblow?
Yeah, because the burner account was starting to see that his family was being threatened. He was getting doxxed. So he said, fuck, I'm in too deep. And yeah, listen, JD had no right to say what he said, but that account also started a shit ton of fucking things.
I was going to say.
You see all the time on YouTube. Everybody's doxing each other on YouTube. Jake Paul, PewDiePie, H3H3. Post Malone got doxed from Jake Paul and, you know, his Team 10 fucking buddies, whatever, you know. Like,
they kept calling him a bully. Like, with that comment, you're not a bully, buddy.
Here's what I do want to say. The thing about Owen, I almost called him Owen. Noah. The thing with Noah is he did have a big time apology coming, right? And when you look at JD too, JD compared to the rest of the world, his voice is only a fraction of representation of people. The WWE people got hot about it. AEW didn't. AEW could care less. I mean, we're pretty much all AEW shills, and I say that in a good way. We really didn't bat an eye, and even if we did, I don't think we were like, because I didn't notice. I actually didn't notice until it was brought to me, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's not good.
I was going to say, I saw that clip on Twitter, and I was like,
yeah. But my thing is, here's the thing with him. First off.
Are you comfortable, buddy?
I am now. First off, I got to get into it. First off, his voice is small. As big as his voice may be, it's small. And when you're small like that, you can say things not like that, but there's other things that you could say, and you can kind of get away with it because it's like, who's going to really spend their time to focus on you and, like, shut you up?
Yeah.
Because WWE, if they wanted to get rid of him and shut him up, they could have. But they can't, because what are you going to get him on? Oh, your booking sucks? He's been so accustomed, like the rest of us, to just shit on WWE that he got carried away to one time and he said the wrong thing, regardless of whether you're shitting on a product or not. So he got used to that. The AEW fans, yeah, they didn't care, nor did they even know. But, like, AEW side fans are like, you know what, man? You fucked up. It's all right, though. Pick your head up and keep going. And we've been so accustomed to hearing him being professional yet vulgar at the same time that the one time that he's vulgar and just unprofessional, that he just sounds like a buffoon, it was like, yo, like, this what the fuck? Like, this ain't you. And it's not him. It's not him. You know, he's got his crack of mother jokes where it's kind of like, hey, it's 2020, but, like, you know, you're kind of old school with your humor, so okay, to a degree. But, you know, he's not politically correct. He's not. But this was one of the times where he had to be. Because in a world where you don't want to have politics involved, you want to see everybody as an equal. And you have to see the men and the women as an equal. And he does give his fair share of equality towards women when it comes to being in the ring. And he does. But this was just the one time where he slipped up and he's just like, fuck, because he got carried away. And H3H3 is a YouTube channel that I watch very much so. And they even set up to about 2-3 years ago. They're like, you know what? We were so small, we could say whatever the fuck we want. Now we're just so big where they sit at 6.61 million views, having a YouTube war with Keemstar. If you don't know about it, that's nothing really to concern you about right now. But he's not that small anymore where, like, he could just say whatever he wants. Like, all right, fucking nobody's going to pay attention to me. Now he's got eyes on him. He's got eyes of the superstars and the wrestlers themselves. No, AEW people didn't say anything, but WWE did, and that's bad enough because they can take and spin in any narrative that they want. And also, It does seem to be like a politically charged thing, not in politics like Republican, Democrat, but it seems like when it comes to what side are you on, AEW, WWE, I think we understand that the WWE side is really going to ruin him if he doesn't fucking fight back and fight the right way. He fought back. He did for step one. He apologized. Great.
Which we got to give him props for. Yes.
Good. Now do step two and explain your feelings and explain it the right way. And don't be sexist and don't be racist, which neither of them I think he ain't. But
nah,
you still got to take it the right way.
But all in all, we can just say that we could all agree what he said was fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
He did his apology, which we all appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
When we just hope he comes out better from this. And it seems like he has because, you know, he's still doing his reviews. He's actually gone up in followers now, which kind of gives me that – kind of reminds me of that Eminem lyric from the lyric. It's like how do I say it? It's like you mentioned me, win-win for you, millions of views. I mentioned you, lose for me, billions of views. So the fact that this whole situation kind of increases popularity, even if it's just a little bit, it got him some attention, and now he could just prove to whoever he offended or all of his new followers that he did come out better from this whole situation.
Facts.
They always say that
If everybody else is done? Because I got something to say. Go ahead, Noah.
DSPN. I was gonna say his comment. He has to understand, and for the people that are gonna watch this podcast, watch what you say. Like especially on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Watch what you say because we're in the age of social media where everything's documented more so than ever with this pandemic where everything is literally what we're doing right now through electronics, through socials, through just virtual. So watch what you say because it can come back and bite you in your ass as it has did for JD a year later. So that's all. Go ahead.
Even for us, even though we're just starting, we still gotta watch. We may be uncensored, but we still gotta watch what we say.
Exactly.
Oh, just like when Noah said, it happened to Lars Sullivan from 10 years ago.
Yes.
But
where's Lars Sullivan now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've probably been watching JD the longest out of all of us because I started following when he was promoted by Chris Denker. I think he was on OTS episode like 50 or something like that. So I've gotten to learn JD's tendencies over approximately 6 years at this point. I've met him twice. Me and Ferrari went to go meet him one time. So I think I have a good understanding of where JD's at. He's very, like Oscar said, he's very outspoken. He holds literally no punches ever, and he's gonna give it to you straight, whether you like it or not. He doesn't really care. He's going to give you the facts with a sledgehammer, basically.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get caught up in his wording, and while his wording was clearly wrong in the situation, and we don't always agree with it, he's usually right if you go past the wording and dig deeper towards his understanding. Now, is sexualizing somebody's ring work right? Absolutely not, under no circumstances. But he's not sexist at all. If you actually listen to his podcast, he actually advocates for the women more times than not. It just has to be for the right reasons. Hell, one of his favorites, his two favorites are Toni Storm and Sasha Banks. So that already, one, shows you he's not racist, and two, he's not sexist. He's been pushed for Apollo Crews for 5 years. So like he likes good wrestling. He wants smart wrestling, just like we all do. We're smart marks for a reason, and that's, people throw it around as a negative connotation, but you know it has the word smart in it. So wouldn't you want to be a smart mark?
I would. Shit.
But I think JD just presents something that we all like. We want logical booking, stuff that makes sense. Don't
Logical
make your
booking, good
don't make
product.
your audience look stupid.
Exactly. Can't treat us like we're brain dead morons.
Exactly.
Like he always says.
So like hell, if anything, JD's not an AEW mark, he's an NXT mark. If you listen to all of his podcasts over the years, he's even gone on and said it himself. But also, like the guy said, he's everybody. He's an equal opportunity employer. Everybody gets this critical work. He critiques everybody and everything. If he doesn't like something, even when he likes the person, he's gonna tell you about it. And I think this whole thing just got blown completely out of proportion, starting with the beef he had with Ryan Satin the day before, which I don't know why that started, but JD kind of shut it down pretty quick, if I'm gonna be honest. But he was correct to apologize to Alexa Bliss because she seems to be in his crosshairs a lot. And same with Charlotte, who's also in his crosshairs a lot. But kind of like for what Ferrara said, I think it has to be a little bit more. And going back to what Oscar said, if you listen to his Raw review this week, he clearly was not himself. He was clearly on, as Oscar said, eggshells, dancing around topics that he would normally go in on. And he probably doesn't want this out there, but I found very clearly when he brought up Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. He usually has a nickname for them that I'm not going to say on here, but it rhymes with Iconics, and he didn't mention that at all. So you can tell that he was clearly like holding back a little bit this week. I think he said, go ahead.
But the name that he's got for them is still a nothing compared to.
It's not bad.
Bless. No, it's not.
He just has a very blunt sense of humor. That's really what it is, at least in my opinion. So, hell, he used to make fun of Brie Bella all the time. I'm a big Brie Bella fan. I love Brie Bella. Because she wrestled, debatable. But I used to like Brie Bella. He used to shit on Brie Bella all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, just because we're fans doesn't mean we have separate opinions, but we can respect each other's opinions.
And that's pretty much the most important thing to take away from this. That, while he said was fucked up, we all have to respect each other's opinions. And we also have to appreciate the fact that he did deliver his apology.
And under no circumstances is it ever okay to send anybody death threats.
No,
None.
not at all.
Not at all.
Let alone
Especially
put
when it
somebody's
deals-
families into it. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was just gonna say.
It's been an insane week with all this this whole situation going on.
I'm still
Can it
Team
be good
JD.
for 1 week? Can it just be like nice and positive? Like,
And don't
You're
you
asking a lot.
You are asking for a lot, dude.
oh, if Vince McMahon's still in this world, I guess that is a fucking miracle he'll have to perform.
It would
Even
be.
if he wasn't, you're still asking a lot.
But anyway, we're going to end it off on this. This has been episode 4 of The Good Podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Like us on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. Check out our Facebook page. And follow the channel if you like us. So until next week, I'm Oscar Cifuentes.
DJ DSPN Sutherland. Team JD.
Aristides Xenofondos.
I'm Noah Griffith.
And George Michael.
And we will see you guys next week. Take care.